whisperings. Welcome to another broadcast of The Curious Mind of Raquel Carter. I am your favorite mermaid mystic and medium. So today's video, I wanted to really dive in and let's see what we could find out about. I had heard rumor of there being a particular feud between Sarah Michelle Gellar, I think that's how you say her name, and Jennifer Love Hewitt. And there has been seemingly telltale signs that there was a feud, there is a feud, or also the girls have outwardly admitted saying that there was no feud. So I wanted to find out if that was true, if it was based on some kind of intel of the industry and trying to make drama where drama does not exist, and what we can learn from our egos and how that we can improve our own spiritual lives through the example of these celebrities, okay? And so immediately when I began pulling the energy on both ladies, immediately, you know what's really, really interesting is that thing that I got was, first of all, I feel as though Jennifer feels a bit, from her energy, it comes off as, you know, her being a really happy-go-lucky girl, which tends to make sense because she is a Pisces. And so I think that she's very sentimental in that way. And it seems to me that it comes across as almost naive, as though, like, really? Like, oh, do we have an issue with one another? Because I didn't know that we did. More of a like a harmless thing, you know what I'm saying? And then Sarah, I know that I had seen, like, this is where I saw like a clip or two from an interview, and it seemed a little bit off-putting, but it wasn't necessarily so much that you couldn't necessarily read into it. I almost feel as though her energy, when I saw that, was, it felt to me when I'm tapping into Sarah's energy as though it was, maybe she had some form of, because I do feel as though she had some form of not feeling recognized. Maybe, for example, if there was not credit due where the success of the movie or something in that nature, because I don't believe, didn't she not come back for the second? I don't even know what the movie was called. I Know What You Did Last Summer. Is that what it was called? Yeah. But is it a scary movie? I don't know anything about the movie. It sounds, maybe I do remember it is a horror movie. I don't know. But anyway, Sarah may feel as though she didn't get the credit due, you know, where it was deserving of her to receive the credit. However, I do feel as though she comes across, her energy is very kind of flat. She comes across as if like, no, you know, didn't she have a husband? Doesn't she have a husband that's in that movie or something like that? Because his name's Freddie or something, right? Because I saw her with him in that interview. And so I'm trying to recall everything that I saw. She's coming across as though in that interview, it reminds me of someone that's like, hey, my husband's in this movie, so if this does something almost to get an attention or seek attention so that it would give him more clout or airtime or drive the narrative home as though they do have some kind of entanglement of sorts, you know, where they're not getting along or they don't like each other, then I'll do it. You know, I'll just put on my acting face or my acting mask and kind of drive that home a bit. But it feels very mutual. It doesn't feel initiated by revenge or unkindness. It's not coming across that way. Absolutely, it's not. Both of the girls. I think Jennifer feels more as like, is there something going on? No, I don't think so. Like, no, I don't feel so. I think there's nostalgia for the two girls working together. So in all, I do feel as though it's all hogwash, like it's rubbish. They don't have animosity or anger or hatred towards one another. They're just like, yeah, hey, we work together and so be it. You know what I mean? Was there some kind of like fueling going on, maybe perhaps in the past? That is very much an indication that that there may have been some upset at the time, but I do believe that it's nothing that has been activated most recently or in the near past. It feels maybe when they were younger and more immature that they would fight for, hey, I want this or I want that, kind of like, it reminds me of like sisters being to decide, hey, I want to wear that outfit for the first day back to school, and they're in high school or something. And she's like, no, I want to wear that. No, you're like overshining one another. That's kind of how it's coming across. But now that time has waned on, there's this sense of feeling they don't really care. They've moved on with their lives. They feel like, nah. I do feel as though Sarah initiated those kind of things in order to help push the narrative for her husband, to get more eyes on people getting in the seats for the movie. That's how it feels like it's coming across to me. Now, what we can learn from this is that rivalry oftentimes, now, that's not to say that their energy was not that way in the past, but I'm not feeling it now. It's not an activated, squabble of any sort. And what I think we can learn from this is that the ego, there can be this push and this narrative from the industry in order to sell tickets, to create all of this kind of nonsense on stilts, because that actually causes people to pay more attention. And so if you're looking at, let's go ahead and create negative combative areas that don't exist between the women, let's do it. If that's what we need to do to sell tickets to this particular movie, then that's what we're going to do. Now, but I feel as though the Sarah situation is individualistic in the sense that I think she did push that because she wanted her husband to be seen in the movie and because she adores her husband and da-da-da-da-da. That's the energy that I'm feeling today. Now, does that mean that nothing will be contrived and sent forth in the future? But what I want us to learn spiritually, because this is where we take our clues and things like that from, is that we're fascinated by these particular celebrities, but actually, and they represent the aspects of ourselves and why we're intrigued with certain things. Where's the beef coming from? Do you know what I mean? And if there is none, why is there a contriving of negativity in the workplace, for example? And it's just showing that we're mirror reflecting that sense. If there's an aspect within us that we feel, oh yeah, I definitely believe, for example, I definitely believe that they're fighting or they're inflicting argument or upset with one another. Particular people in the industry that do not derive benefit from being in arguments or unkindness with other actors, their comrades, right? I do believe they're less likely to get work. And the reason I say that is because you don't drive home that initiation if there's no smoke, there's fire. Do you understand? And so this creates, when there's calmness and loving kindness towards, if you work with someone on a movie and whatever, and they have nothing but kind things to say about that person, this creates an essence of, doesn't seem to drive home anything. And some people have asked me, what's the point of this and why, for example, I had so many people come to me and say, there's so much hatred towards, like, for example, Meghan Markle. And, there's two aspects to that. One aspect is you always have to remember that regardless of whether the world sees you or not, the thoughts that you are permeating, the thoughts that you are putting out into the universe, your entire, from the time that you begin thinking thoughts, okay? And whether they are negative or positive, you have to regurgitate those emotions and those thoughts and those different beliefs, You have to project those at some point in your life. And when they are not received in the way that is beneficial to you wanting, say, for example, I wish harm on someone. This is for an example, okay? Or I do something that is not something that I would do unto myself. That's why when you hear people talk about scriptures, or in religion, it says, do unto others as you would have done to yourself. Because what that literally actually means, it's a metaphor for saying when you do something, say, for example, you think a negative thought and you project it onto another person, it's really you mirroring back what you really are projecting upon yourself. And the reason for that is because what happens is when you send it out energetically, okay, and that is a focused intention, it must always come back to you. So do you want everything that you're focusing on, say, for example, the Meghan Markle? Obviously, she has been through her life sending out loads of negative things because it has come back tenfold on her. Do you understand? This is why it's very important, and I stress so much that you think that, oh, I'm not hurting anyone when I'm gossiping or excited about this, this novel idea that, or this particular situation that's, oh, this is, you're getting in there like a little rat and you're dissecting it and you're activating energy. You're putting momentum behind this focused thought. Same thing with your own life. So if you carry that and you project that thought forward, it has to boomerang back to you. So do you want everything? Because oftentimes we don't want to be held accountable for the things that we think in life because we think we forget about them. How little we forget about things that we've thought in our lives. And we don't realize when you send that out, it must either regurgitate or it must hit the target. Do you understand? If not, because if no one receives that, you must receive it back unto yourself. And that's just how the law of gravity works. That's the law of karma. And that's the laws of the universe on the earth. And so you think people are getting away with things or it doesn't matter what I'm doing behind the scenes. No, it does matter because everything that you put upon the earth, everything you project outwards, every thought you think always creates focus and momentum. This is why if you want good things in your life, you better think about only good things. And if you're thinking about awful things and rubbish thoughts, you better realize you're going to mine those thoughts. You will have to regurgitate those thoughts. They will come back and hit you tenfold, hundredfold. So remember this, my darlings, because everything always has to be a receptive matter. You have to receive what you send out. Don't you want to receive only good things? Remember, often we forget the things that we're sending out into the universe. We forget that we thought terrible thoughts about so-and-so or so-and-so and perpetuated that thought, thinking it doesn't matter because, nothing happened. Well, I can guarantee you it will always happen. You will always receive tenfold what you put into the universe. So we might want to remember these egotistical thoughts. Oh, it doesn't matter what I'm thinking. Oh, no one saw that. It doesn't matter. The universe sees it because you are the universe, okay? So everything that you're doing to other people, you better be willing to accept it for yourself, okay? Prime example, I have said some terrible things in my life in the heat of anger, and those things come back to me. They came back to me tenfold, hundredfold, thousandfold. And so I am very quick to remember, I do unto others as you follow the golden rule. It's not that hard. It's not that hard. You learn to articulate, you learn to focus and keep the momentum only on positive things. Focus only on positive things. And you say, oh, well, that's no fun. Yeah, because we're hung up. We're as humans mostly are hung up on negative behavior, negative thoughts, negative everything. So our goal and the objective of our lifetime, our employment on this earth, is to learn to focus so that we can control and have own worlds. This is the objective, is to eventually be able to know how to focus so much and so clearly on only everything being love that we can spend worlds on the axle just by thought, okay? So we have to become masters at it, masters at our minds and the evolution of understanding that we're gods and goddesses. Do you understand? Okay, that kind of came into being a, 101, school 101, but this is why ego is so important, that we overcome the ego, because that's just an earthbound scenario and situation. Okay, we are not our ego. We have to learn to master the ego. Okay, and so I hope that cleared you up. And if you have anybody else that you would love for me to channel, as any celebrity or anything of that nature, feel free to put it in the comments, or reach out to me, and I would love to do it, because I'm always looking for ways that we can learn through these examples of these celebrities, because it's really quite fun, and I hope that you derive benefit from this. And as always, I'm most affably yours until my next swim. Cheers, darlings. Toodle pip.